Greetings, citizens, and welcome back to the Hidden Dagger Inn. While we are all eagerly awaiting October 25th, let's brush up on everything we know about naval content and how the system's going to have such a huge influence on the lifespan of Ashes of Creation. So without further ado, let's begin.
Ready to work.
Before we dig into what we know about Naval, there will be plenty of Steven clips in this video, so stay tuned for some hidden gems.
Well, and again, just to reiterate, when we talk about will Naval be in Alpha 2, Naval will be in Alpha 2 in the sense that after we launch Alpha 2, at some point in Alpha 2, Naval will be implemented as an update, and that Naval will be the ability to acquire components, construct those components, acquire recipes, construct certain types of ships, navigate those ships on the water, and engage in certain ship-to-ship interactions and ship-to-player interactions and ship-to-content interactions. Now, it won't be the expansive aspect of that, meaning all ships won't be present, all types of those ships, all attachments of those ships, right? And it will be maybe a little bit jank to start because it's going to be an alpha version of it. But the intent there is to provide the loop where players get to go and interact with content in the ocean. That won't be at the start of Alpha 2, but it will be in Alpha 2.
Realizing what Ashes of Creation's open seas might look like, I'm personally hoping for a mix of Archage and Sea of Thieves, and a touch of Atlas. Sadly, since they removed the shipbuilding profession, my hopes of designing a custom ship like an Atlas have diminished. Here's a clip of Steven's naval vision for the game so we can get a glimpse of what's in store for us in Ashes of Creation.
Personally, when I envision naval combat, I see there being different types of ships that have different capabilities, that have different types of armaments, that have different roles to play out on the high seas.
Right.
And again, playing with that counterbalance between those different types of ships, both from a PvP perspective against each other, as well as performing certain roles when having raids in the open seas against large monsters or bosses, whatever, that are going to be present out there.
I truly believe the open seas will be one of the game's strongest elements, and that's not just for the freedom from corruption while sailing, but it's also for the rich exploration opportunities and experiences that the Vera waters are going to offer. According to Steven's vision, ship customization looks like it's going to be very versatile. It sounds like ships might follow almost a holy trinity design, allowing for tanky or PvE focused ships capable of handling raid bosses and aggro, swift warships built to chase down enemies, or defensive transport vessels. These choices could significantly impact your gameplay, just like your character's build does.
All right, and then Karthos wants to know about ships. For ships with variable utility weapon locations, is this assignment done when the ship is first created, or can it be changed when the owner desires?
This would be something that's done at the creation stage of the ship. So if there are variable locations that are available as part of the blueprint of that particular ship's design, those elections would be made prior to construction completion.
Excited to jump out there and take on the high seas and set sail? Me too. But before you decide to take on those high seas, beware. With great rewards like sport fishing or treasure hunting or attacking unsuspecting caravans trying to cross the continent, come great dangers. One of the games that I believe Steven takes great influence from is Archage, and rightfully so. In Archage, the seas were filled with peril from other players, from jellyfish to the Kraken, and much more. In Ashes of Creation, we're going to be able to start to experience the dangers of the seas as early as levels 10 to 15, when small personal vessels will become available for our first sea adventurers. A key difference, though, is that ships can't be summoned anywhere. They will need to be spawned at a harbor.
Ability to acquire different types of blueprints for ship construction. Those class of vessels will exist from a personal vessel to a group vessel to a raid vessel, so large like galleon type ships. And there's a lot of content out on the ocean, not just from a raid boss standpoint, like large monsters like, Kraken related or more Lovecraftian type.
Yeah, like a giant squid or,
Right, exactly. And there will be required some significant coordinated efforts among multiple raids to down some of those raid bosses, but also there's going to be underwater dungeons and underwater kind of mounts that players can have as well. So you're going to be able to acquire these different ships that are going to be relevant to different experiences and different encounters.
Now that you've put your new masterpiece together, before you set sail, don't forget to name your vessel.
Will you be able to name your ship? So will we be able to sort of name and decorate in a way that people will know you're coming?
Absolutely.
And you can own more than
that
one?
was one of my favorite things. Yeah, you can own more than one.
Will we be able to fly flags on ships such as coats of arms, indicating association to guilds, nodes, or other groups such as pirates?
Utilize unique emblems and custom images potentially for players to designate, as well as potentially some locations on the hull for names and emblems as well.
So now that you got your name of your ship and possibly an emblem, but most likely not yet at that level, make sure you don't go out at sea without having some materials to repair your ship, because that's going to be a function similar to Sea of Thieves that we're going to be able to do, which is going to make ship combat much more engaging. While you're out there at sea, depending on what type of vessel you're in and how many players you have with you, make sure you guys are keeping your head on a swivel. Not only keeping a lookout for enemy player ships, but also just players lurking in the water trying to board your ship.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Boarding is always going to be a risk. While caravans and ships will likely have a resistance against crowd control and making it harder to kill the captain, you still won't want your enemies boarding your ship. And again, this will depend on what kind of vessel you're on, because it has been said some ships can be hijacked, but others, like rafts going across the sea, will need to be destroyed in order to get the cargo. Now, if they are able to attack and kill you, there was a mechanic in Arcade called Owner's Mark where you could put it on there. Again, it only lasted for about 2 minutes. I am not sure if that mechanic will be in Ashes of Creation. So they might have to wait for it to despawn, which is said to take about 15 to 20 minutes. If you do happen to die at sea to some raiders, you are going to be ported back. You are going to have to summon another ship if you have such a one, or have a friend summon it at the harbor to try to get back out there before your ship despawns to see if you can claim your goods back. If there is such a mechanic like Owner's Mark, again, it will be only for a limited amount of time. Often what players would do in Arcade when they stole your ship was they would take it and they would run it into an island, and that was one of the ways they destroyed your ship. If your ship is destroyed, that's going to be the worst possible scenario, because it's not going to be like Arcade where it only cost you 5 Shadowgan sand and about 5 minutes on cooldown, and you could summon the ship anywhere you wanted. That's not going to happen. You're going to have it repaired. It's going to be a great cost from what Steven has said, also take much longer, and you're going to have to spawn it back at a harbor. On a side note, smaller ships like fishing vessels might have different repair costs and times, but that remains unclear. Sport fishers seeking big rewards in the open seas will need to weigh the risks, and if repairing the ship becomes too costly, it might not be worth it to go out there. Without a doubt, at the start of Ashes of Creation, the seas are going to absolutely be filled with people. As soon as people can get out there, they will be there. I recommend organizing pesca raids from Arcade, or basically fishing raids, so you are going out there in large groups of people for protection. I hope that sport fishing will be as lucrative as Steven claims, and as fun as it was in Arcade, engaging enough to keep an eye out in dangers while still being enjoyable. One last note about the fishing on the open seas is that you're not going to be a sitting duck like you were in Arcade, where fishing gear was necessary. Ashes of Creation allows for separate gear slots so you can fish, but also will be able to fight back if needed. Another interesting potential side hustle business is ferrying players across the sea. If you're one of the lucky ones to get a boat early on, or possibly a transport mount, players could have a full-time job just carrying people across the sea. Just be sure to have them sign a waiver, as these early boats might not be the strongest. Ships will also be able to siege harbors, damaging both players and structures. It's been said that ship weapons will involve potion launchers, which I feel like is kind of a nod to Pathfinder. While I personally prefer the old gunpowder cannons, I'm excited to try this new approach. It even kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones battle with the wildfire. As you've seen from some of the clips, naval combat in Ashes of Creation promises to be like nothing we've seen before. A mix of Arcade and Sea of Thieves, with large fleets vying for naval dominance in Vera. I hope you're as excited about the naval system as I am. Whether it be sport fishing, cargo running, raid boss hunting, or just pillaging, you will find something for you in the waters of Era. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to help me grow. And let me know in the comments what you're most looking forward to about the naval system. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day, Vera.
Work complete.